You're just divorced and you have sons to raise who are hard to discipline, and you just can't cope. Your ex-husband may try to help, but his timing is usually off, and there's always the problem of child support. Why not try joining a group of other single parents and share your experiences? You'll hear the father's side, how bringing his kids back late delays the pain of leaving them, how hard it is to support two households. Each week, the group discusses an important topic, such as how to establish a social life. To find a free or inexpensive support group in your area, write FYI. When you're raising kids on your own, you don't have to go it alone.
Wednesday. Uh-oh. We've all had them. Now it's time to share them. John Ritter hosts a look at a prize collection of public boo-boos. Relive life's most embarrassing moments. Tomorrow on ABC.
I tried those Diet Colas. Ooh, that aftertaste. Then I tried sugar-free Dr. Pepper. Oh, boy.
Here's the taste we've been missing. It's really mm-mm.
And the look is extremely... It really tastes mm-hmm.
And it looks. Try sugar-free Dr. Pepper. Now. Wow.
Come on and try sugar-free Dr. Pepper, and you'll see that it tastes and it looks.
The compulsive overeaters among us face the streets of the city as a junkie would face a legion of drug pushers.
Food junkies.
I can't stop at just one cookie. I was not only eating for hunger, but I was eating for a lot of unresolved feelings.
If this seems familiar, don't let this happen to you.
I couldn't move hardly. And why? Because of food.
Watch Louis Young's special report, Food Junkies, starting Wednesday at 5:30.
The People's Court in 30 minutes.
The body of Patricia Devereaux was found in her 5th floor apartment at the Monticello Arms on Pine Street. Death was caused by strangulation with a telephone wire. The victim was discovered by a hotel employee, Albert Amory, at about 10:30 last night. Now, who would have killed her? And who shot Ian? There has to be some connection.
Sorry to interrupt, Sky.
Well, then why interrupt, Spencer?
I just wanted you to know that your aunt phoned while you were out.
And what'd she say?
She said she was coming over this evening. As a matter of fact, she should be here shortly.
Spencer, I wish that you would stop trying to organize my social life. I don't want to see Geraldine tonight, and I'm not really in the mood for company.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't mention anything earlier.
What does she want, did she say?
She's coming on business. I suppose I could handle it myself.
Well, wait a minute. That's an entirely different matter. I wonder if she wants to discuss the sale of the stations. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, if she does want to buy WMON, that would be one of my problems that will be solved.
Honey, you're worrying over that idea like a dog with a bone. You can't give it up, can you?
No, I can't. It's been on my mind all day, and I can't shake it. I'm more certain than ever that I'm right. It wasn't Ian Devereaux who planted those documents in Sky Whitney's wall safe. It was David Cameron.
And his motive was to involve Sky in his little plan?
Yes, to hang something on him, to make him perform the way he wanted him to, pulling the strings again.
Out-and-out blackmail, or maybe even worse.
I was fooled as much as Sky was. But I distinctly remember it was David Cameron who opened the safe in Sky's bedroom that day. I didn't attach any significance to it at the time.
Well, of course not. Why should there be?
But last night, when I gave you your anniversary gift, took it out of the safe, something clicked. I suddenly realized that Cameron could have done exactly what I did. Pretend to be taking something out of the safe while actually he was putting something in.
Honey, if that is what happened, God, that's infuriating.
Obviously, there isn't very much that Cameron won't do to get what he wants.
The Edge of Night is brought to you by All Temperature Cheer, tough on dirt in today's cooler temperatures. And by Gleam, the toothpaste made for adults. It fights cavities and adult bad breath.
The assault. These are the enemies of the adult mouth. And here's what they leave behind. The food, the film, the bacteria that can cause adult bad breath and cavities. And this is the adult strength toothpaste tough enough to clean up the adult mouth. Gleam. Gleam works 3 ways. First, Gleam helps strip away food and film with an exclusive cleaning formula. Then Gleam fights mouth odors with 7 breath protectors. And Gleam helps protect against cavities with proven fluoride protection. So eat and drink like an adult, but protect your mouth with Gleam, the adult strength defense that fights the enemies of your mouth.
Remember roller rinks? I always skated with my Steady Eddie and my favorite white pleated skirt, at least till creepy Jimmy Carlson started showing off.
But Mom cleaned it with Cheer and hot water. Today, I wash differently, in more warm and cold water. And Cheer knows it. That's why today's all-temperature Cheer is so tough and warm and cold. How tough? Tough enough to clean these in warm, and tough enough to clean this collar in cold, and without pre-treating. Here's that collar. Cheer cleaned it in cold without pre-treating. And these, Cheer did great in warm. See? Cheer's changed with the times. Even roller skating's changed. But I think I can adapt.
In today's cooler temperatures, you can trust today's Cheer.
Well, hello, Geraldine.
Skylar, dear, I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
Not at all. I'm as delighted to see you as I always am.
Can I get you something, Mrs. Saxon?
Yes. I have come all this way for a glass of your fine Madeira, Skylar.
And you shall have it.
Sky, would you care for the same?
Yes, that would be very nice, thank you.
I think that I'll join you.
Go right ahead. I think it's a good idea to let the help have a little drink now and again. It's good for morale, you know.
And of course, we're all terribly grateful to the kind master for all his kindnesses.
You're looking very fit, Skylar.
Well, thank you, Geraldine. I feel fine. Now, tell me, the reason you didn't come all the way up here, I'm sure, isn't because of my fine Madeira. What is it?
Of course not. I came to talk to you about WMON.
I thought as much. And?
I have been giving the proposition a good deal of thought.
Naturally.
You know, my dear, I've never been much interested in owning WMON outright. I've been quite content to simply manage the station.
Well, you've done a fine job in that. Isn't that true, Spencer?
Certainly is, and the books do prove it. We both know, Mrs. Saxon, that running a television station is no easy proposition.
Well, I can't altogether take that much credit for its success, Spencer. I have a very competent staff that has made my job a good deal less difficult than it might appear.
Oh, yes, of course, and you know the secret of being a good executive, which is hiring the proper people and then letting them do their job.
Not all employers realize that secret, Mrs. Saxon, to you.
Yes, and I don't mind admitting that I learned that secret from you, Geraldine.
Well, that's very flattering, I'm sure. But I have been wondering if I want to take on the burdens of ownership, all that responsibility at this stage of the game.
Oh, at this stage of the game. Come on, Geraldine, you love a challenge. You know that as well as I do. Don't make it sound as if you're about to take up knitting or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if you're about to join a trapeze act or something.
Well, I might consider it yet, Skylar. But a trapeze act could be no more daring at my age than owning a television station.
So you're not quite ready to make the commitment to buy the station, is that right?
Well...
May I offer an opinion?
Of course.
Actually, there's very little difference between the responsibilities that you shoulder now and those that you would assume if you became the owner, don't you think?
Perhaps.
Mrs. Saxon, you've already proven that you can run the station successfully with the help of your competent staff, as you put it, so I see the transition process to ownership being a very smooth and easy process for you. However, if you decide not to purchase the station, the same competent staff's jobs might be in jeopardy. A new owner might decide to make a clean sweep of the entire staff.
Yes, that's very true, Geraldine. You certainly wouldn't want to see that happen, would you?
Mm-hmm. Very smooth, both of you. I know I'm being conned into that.
Well?
Well, I suppose I shouldn't fall for it, but I've decided to say yes.
Well, I'm very pleased. I can't think of anyone I'd rather have as my successor as the owner of WMON. This calls for a celebration. Tell you what, I'll trade you that glass of Madeira for some champagne. Spencer?
before you make that exchange, Scott, I think we should discuss some monetary considerations.
Well, there's really very little to discuss. Spencer has told you about the asking price, hasn't he?
Yes.
Well, if you think that's a bit high, I might be willing to consider coming down a bit, seeing as it's you.
Hogwash, my dear.
Oh, come on, Geraldine. The only condition that I have is that the purchase be made in cash.
Yes, that's what I want to talk to you about. And in private, if you don't mind.
If you'll excuse me.
Now, Scott Whitney, I want to know one thing. I want to know your intentions.
Whatever do you mean?
Oh, don't play coy with me. I know perfectly well that you are liquidating all of your assets. And now you want the transaction of the station to be made in cash. What are you going to do with all that cash? Disappear just in case your arrangement with Mr. Cameron doesn't work out?
Come on, Geraldine, don't be ridiculous.
Oh, come along now. You can't fool me. I think that's exactly what you have in mind. Frankly, I really hate the idea of contributing to the cash fund that would make that possible. But I suppose I will, just the same.
What a horrible thing to have happen. Murder is always awful, but somehow it always seems so remote and detached until it's someone you know or you've met.
Yeah, you know, I'd forgotten that you actually did meet Mrs. Devereaux once, didn't you?
Yeah, just briefly through Camilla. She seemed like a nice lady. Very attractive woman, too.
Yeah. It's too bad. You know, I'll never understand it. Some people just don't care who they rob or kill.
You think it was a robbery?
Well, it looks like it. I mean, somebody went through the place with a fine-tooth comb. We don't know what she had, so we can't be sure of what's missing.
It was a very strange coincidence, wasn't it? The woman's ex-husband was held up and robbed just a block away from the same hotel.
Too much coincidence, if you ask me.
Yeah, what does he say about it? I mean, if you can tell me.
Said he went to visit his ex-wife, pure and simple. Got stopped by an armed robber, got shot for resisting.
Of course, that's not the only coincidence, is it?
Meaning what?
The way she was killed. The telephone cord.
Oh. You mean it made you think of another murder, is that it?
Yeah. A murder I'd rather forget. Nora Fulton's.
No, actually, Nora was strangled with a television cable. Now, that's close, but not the same thing.
All right, I'm not saying there's a connection. I'm just saying it reminded me of it.
Well, murder by strangulation is not all that uncommon. I mean, something like a telephone wire just becomes a handy weapon like the cable at the studio.
All right, let's not talk about Nora Fulton, okay? It's bad enough that I have to testify against Nicole next week.
Yeah, I know that's all been very hard on you, Gavin.
Of course it's been hard on me. I was afraid of that the minute I saw Nicole running away from the studio.
Gavin, nobody asks to be a witness to these events.
Yeah, and I wish it had never happened.
Yeah, well, it took you long enough to come around to admitting that it did.
Yeah, all right, yeah, I know. But I'm still not sure I did the right thing. Look what it cost me.
You mean Jody?
I just didn't believe that she meant it. Meant it about not talking to me again. But she did.
Look, it's still possible that she might change her mind.
Not after she sees me on the witness stand next week. I dread it, Calvin. I'm gonna be up in that chair with Jody, Miles, and Nicole all watching me put nails into Nicole's coffin.
Gavin, there's a phone call for you. You can take it here if you like.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Sure.
Excuse me. Hello?
Oh, Gavin, dear, it's Camilla.
Camilla, how are you?
Dreadful.
Well, what's wrong?
Oh, well, everything's wrong. How can you ask?
Well, I mean, what is it? Your brother's okay, isn't it?
Well, I suppose he's okay, considering what's happened to him.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that, Camilla. I wish there was something I could do.
Well, there is. Are you planning on coming over this evening?
Actually, I hadn't planned on it, no.
Oh, Gavin, why not?
Well, I just felt I'd be in the way, especially after what just happened to your brother. I didn't want to add to the confusion.
Oh, Gavin, please. I'm upset. I'm depressed about Ian, and what's more, I'm alone. Raven's gone to the hospital. She won't be back for some time, and...
I need you, Gavin.
All right, well, tell you what. Why don't you get out of the house? I'll wait for you here at the Rock Garden. I'm having a cup of coffee with Calvin, but he's going on duty soon, and then we can just have a nice quiet dinner. How about that?
I think it's a wonderful idea. I know I'll cheer up in such good company with you. I'm on my way.
Want to liven up those old familiar dinners?
Brush up on your chicken.
Just blend 2 parts Heinz 57 sauce and 1 part honey.
Brush up spare ribs too.
And you've got a sensational glaze for most any kind of meat.
Brush up on your ham.
Make a little extra for dipping.
For a lively taste that's new.
Brush up with Heinz 57 sauce and honey. Takes just a few seconds.
Adds just the right spice.
Brush up.
So you're saying I'll make more money if I use cheaper ingredients and fillers?
Yes, you will.
No, I won't. Young man, you might know bookkeeping, but you don't know a thing about Hillshire Farm smoked sausage. People buy my smoked sausage in Polska, Kielbasa, because I make it with farm fresh cuts of pork and beef, hand-trimmed, lean and tender.
Dinner's ready.
Quality meat makes Hillshire Farm
Delicious. I wouldn't change a thing.
Hillshire Farm, now with recipes right on the label.
It's very interesting about David Cameron. You'd never know that beneath that cool, pleasant exterior, there'd be so much duplicity.
Honey, do you suppose it's an occupational disease? He does his job so well.
If I'm right about his putting those documents in Sky Whitney's wall safe, it would answer a lot of questions, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And since I've given it a lot more thought, I wouldn't be surprised either.
It fits perfectly with everything we know about the man. He's clever, devious, and he's manipulated everyone involved in this business.
Yeah. It's rather a long list, too, including you and me.
He hasn't missed a trick so far. Why would he miss this one? Nothing would have worked for Cameron if Sky Whitney hadn't been placed in a threatening position. If his freedom, his very life hadn't been put in jeopardy.
Yeah, it all worked so beautifully. I mean, if Sky hadn't been threatened with the charge of treason, nothing could have persuaded Raven to marry a man she doesn't love in order to save the man that she does love. I mean, you've got to admit it was very neat.
Of course, he was taking a chance on Raven's response. There's a lady who usually goes her own way.
Honey, he lucked out. He played the right cards, and she accommodated him.
Another thing. Who would have easier access to classified material than the second in command of the CEA? How simple for him to have brought those papers with him, withdrawn them from the safe, and staged that whole confrontation in Sky's bedroom. And I think that's exactly what he did.
Okay, now how do we go about proving that?
One way is to ask him.
What?
Hello.
David, it's Mike Carter.
Yes, Mike.
You sound, sleepy. Did I wake you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you did. I'm in bed, yes.
I'm sorry, but there's something I want to talk to you about. It's very important.
Well, can't it wait, Mike? I'm really very tired.
No, it can't. It's urgent. And I want to see you in person.
Oh, what's so urgent?
I think I know the whole truth about you, David.
Oh, really? Well, I certainly want to hear that, Mike. All right, I'll meet you, but not at your place. Certainly not here. Why don't we meet in the park again? That's a good spot. We won't be disturbed there.
Do you eat out of your sink? Of course not. But with so many foods around my sink, I cometize it. That means I clean and disinfect it. Only Comet has chlorinol, so it cleans tough, greasy food stains better than other leading cleansers and wipes out up to 99% of household germs. See? Disinfects as it cleans. With other cleansers, you can't be sure. I don't trust my sink to any other cleanser.
Don't compromise. Cometize.
I can feel it.
It's a clean, so clean, I can feel it. I can feel it.
Discover a clean so revolutionary that even after 25 years, no soap has been able to match it. It's Zest Deodorant Bar, a better way to clean. See? Zest rinses away cleaner. Soap can't do that. In water, you can actually see the difference.
I can feel the
difference.
You can feel it. Zest. In 25 years, nobody's done clean better.
Raise your hand. You got it. Raise your hand. You know it. You feel confident, secure. Raise your hand. You feel dry now. Raise your hand. You know why now. Raise your hand if you're sure.
You've got it. That sure, secure, confident feeling. Because each Sure gives you enough protection to help feel dry all day.
Confident, confident, dry and secure. Raise your hand if you're sure.
Hello, honey.
Oh, Jack.
Well, you must admit it must be better here than sitting at home moping around.
Infinitely.
No, would you like a drink, or do you just want to order?
Nothing right now. I just want to sit here and look at you.
Well, I must admit that you look great, even if you don't feel it.
Oh, Gavin. I am so shaken by what's happened. I don't know if I'm coming or going.
That sort of thing would shake anybody, but you said your brother's all right.
Yeah, I suppose so. I went to the hospital this morning. He looks awful.
You know, he's a very lucky man.
I'll say. Thank God, by mere chance, he was wearing a bulletproof vest. It stopped the bullets, fortunately, so he wasn't hurt badly.
A bulletproof vest? How come he was wearing that? I mean, you got to admit it is not standard equipment in a guy's wardrobe, is it?
Well, fortunately for Ian, it is. You see, well, he was shot once before, and so ever since he's taken precautions. I don't know what it was all about, some finance deal, but he has an obsession about self-protection.
He leads a very exciting life, doesn't he?
I'd say sometimes a little too exciting.
Well, anyway, it seems like everything has just fallen in on you, hasn't it? Including your brother's ex-wife's death. You know, I talked to Calvin about that. He said there are no leads on it yet.
I admit that Patricia and I didn't always see eye to eye, but it's so dreadful. Let's not talk about it, huh?
Of course. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about you.
Oh, boring topic.
Oh, not to me. What's happening with your life? Anything?
Unfortunately, there's not much to tell. I get up every morning, and the first thing I do is look through the want ads.
Well, any luck?
Nothing in the theater, I'm afraid.
All right, let's face it. You've got to find greener pastures. There'll be nothing theatrically in Monticello now that the Whitney Theater is closed. You've got to go to New York, Gavin.
I know.
Well, why are you so reluctant about it? New York is where the action is. You've said so yourself.
Yeah, but where to start?
What about this? I think you'll remember. I told you once that I spent a summer in summer stock in Vermont.
Yes, I remember.
Well, the producer of that company, Jeremy White, is a dear friend. He's gone on to New York. Bigger and better things. I'm going to call him and find out what opportunities there are for a brilliant young director like Gavin Wiley.
That's very thoughtful of you, Camilla.
Gavin, it's a step. It might lead somewhere. Look, New York needs talent.
Yeah, but they don't always use it.
Why are you so negative? Let me try, please.
Sure. Okay.
Well, it looks as if we've finally come to the end of the liquidation. This is the final transaction.
Yeah, well, in some ways I'm very pleased about that. In other ways I'm not. I realize I took a terrible financial beating in most of my transactions.
You have, Schuyler, but you were forewarned.
I know, Spencer, I know.
I hardly think you'll starve, though. Most of us commoners have a difficult time differentiating between having, say, $60 million
Yeah,
and...
you know, I've been thinking, Spencer, about that idea you had of changing the money into high-quality diamonds. I think it might be worth investigating.
Would you like me to take care of that?
Yeah. Yeah, look into it. See what you can find out.
Fine, I'll do that. You do realize, however, that you've just postponed my firing.
gross. It just was gross. It was
Jean had warts. Compound W got rid of them.
on your hand, especially right in the middle of your hand. It's like very embarrassing. I used to think it was funny, and then when it happens to you, it's not so funny.
Used daily, Compound W dissolves warts away. Quickly, in just days. Prevents spreading, too.
Trust me, it works.
Compound W gets rid of warts.
Hallelujah!
Good evening, Roaches. Welcome to the one and only Black Flag Roach Motel. It's all here. Exquisite cuisine, luxury accommodations, excitement. Just 2 at a time, please. There's plenty of room.
Black Flag Roach Motel has caught and killed more roaches than any other trap without poison, insecticide odor, or mess. Traps full, throw it away.
Time to open another Black Flag Roach Motel. Check in, Roaches.
To the one and only Black Flag Roach Motel, Roaches check in.
But they don't check out.
Take a walk down memory lane with TV's all-time favorites on the Family Feud. Join Richard Dawson.
Hi, Dave.
And your old friends from the Brady Bunch. Petticoat Junction, Your Hit Parade, and Leave It to Beaver. All this week on ABC.
Oh, Geraldine, so nice to see you.
Thank
Let
you,
me have
dear.
your coat.
There we are. I'm sorry I was a little later than I expected to be. My nephew never seems to want to let me go.
Well, I can understand that.
Especially when it has to do with money and the transfer of WMON.
Oh, really? Please, sit down. Can I get you something? A coffee or a drink? Or...
No, nothing for me, dear. No. Where's Mike?
Well, he had to leave suddenly for a business meeting, Geraldine. I'm afraid that means he's going to be delayed.
And why do you find that so upsetting?
Me?
I can see all the signs.
No. No, it's nothing, really. Now, what was this about WMON?
I think I know the whole truth about you, David.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, officer.
If I may make a suggestion, it might be a bit late for you to be sitting out here by yourselves, especially in this section of the park. It's a perfect time and place for muggers.
Oh, well, thank you. I won't be very long. I just really stopped to get some fresh air.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Mrs. Paul's asked people how we could improve fish fillets.
Use a larger piece of fish.
Less breading. Fewer calories.
Introducing Mrs. Paul's lighted natural fish fillets. They're twice as thick as ordinary fillets and have 40% less breading. They're under 300 calories and they're microwavable. They're everything you've ever wanted in a fish fillet.
You could give them away.
Well, almost everything. New lighted natural fish fillets from Mrs. Paul.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find. Always on my mind. And frustrated days pass without sight. The edge of night. Half dark, half light. Do you think we might wake up someday and be aware of all the games people play?
Tonight on ABC's World News Tonight, video pirates. Thieves tapping pay TV signals are robbing cable companies blind.
It is property, private property.
What is the law doing to stop this new kind of skyway robbery? ABC News, uniquely qualified to bring you the world.
TV's more complicated. Local, network, cable, pay. To watch the best that's on, pick up the best. This week's TV Guide. TV Guide helps you decide.
Good afternoon, I'm Ernie Anastas. Coming up today on the 5 o'clock Eyewitness News, an extremely dangerous situation this morning out on the island. It was created by a traffic accident.
Thousands of gallons of gasoline got into the Limbrook catch basins today after a tanker collided with an automobile. I'm Vince Lipari. I'll have that report.
Thursday, the mansion's a battle zone because Benson's brother's back to settle an old score. Then the neighbors take it to TV courts.
The case of the condomaniacs.
On an all-new condo. And Henry goes overboard for his best friend's girl.
How do you do?
And it's too close for comfort. Then on It Takes Two.
Where's Doc?
Sam's playing hooky.
I'm a doctor. I'll write myself a note.
Thursday.
On Ryan's Hope.
How about it, Jill? Will you accept the nomination?
Will Jill pursue a political career at the expense of Frank's love? And on One Life to Live.
To you. And to you.
A precious moment. A gift of love. And an evening of romance. Ryan's Hope, One Life to Live. Weekdays